If you have found yourself asking the question, is it okay to not tell my child they are donor conceived? Just take a deep breath. You are wrestling with a very private and complex decision about the foundation you want to build for your future family. There is a shift that happens when the technical success rates take a back seat and the human reality of raising your child kicks in. You've looked at the biology, you've looked at the probabilities, but now you are looking at how you could handle this for your family. You are wondering if and how to tell your child they have a genetic link to someone else. You may be trying to figure out how to explain that a donor's egg was the starting point for their life. And because that's different, you want to protect your child and your family from any potential fallout or emotional weight that might come later because of this decision. You want this to feel like a natural, safe part of your child's world. When a clinic first mentions a donor, your mind often fast-forwards a decade or two. You might imagine a difficult conversation with a teenager and feel a quiet sense of fear about their reaction, wondering if the truth will draw your child closer or create a distance you didn't anticipate. Welcome to Donor Egg Diary. I am no expert. I am just someone who has been through some of it and researched the rest. I'm sharing my own research so that you might find your own way forward a bit easier. Welcome to the Hurdle series. Today we are looking at the different ways people choose to handle the truth of donor conception. We are stepping away from the clinical lab reports and looking at the emotional atmosphere of your home. We are going into the details of what it actually looks like to integrate a donor's contribution into your family history and the very real fears that come with that. You might be asking, when is the right time to start talking to my child? Or what if I choose not to say anything at all? If you are feeling the weight of these questions, it is a sign that you are deeply considering the identity of the person you want to raise. Today is about the different frameworks and the potential issues that come with each choice. When we look at the research, there are several distinct perspectives on how to handle the story. One perspective is the path of total privacy, choosing not to share the donor origins with your child at all. The logic here is often that genetics don't define a family, and that the real mother is the one who does the work. The perceived benefit is a sense of total security for the parent and a life for your child that feels uncomplicated by third-party biology. But we have to look at this through the lens of a world that no longer has walls. In the past, choosing not to tell was a choice you could actually control. But today, the technical reality is that your child, or the adult they will become, doesn't even have to sign up for a DNA kit to be found. Commercial DNA databases like Ancestry and 23andMe work on the power of relatives. If your child's biological second cousin in another city takes a test, the algorithm maps the connection. That stranger now has a notification on their phone showing a close genetic match to your child. They might reach out with a simple, curious message asking how you are related. If your teenager or young adult is online, and what teenager isn't, they are getting that notification in some inbox. And as a parent, you have to ask, do I want to be the one holding their hand when that big emotional wave hits? Most of us want to be the safe harbor for our kids when life gets heavy. But if the discovery happens through a third-party app, you are essentially locked out of that moment. You are left reacting to a shock you didn't see coming, rather than leading the conversation. Wait, just a quick check. This is the insider track, not medical or legal advice. I provide the perspectives, you make the choices. Do your own research and decide what feels right for your child and your family. Back to the conversation. We also have to think about the real-world consequences of silence that rarely get discussed in the clinic lobby. One of the most significant is how this choice affects your child's lifelong medical care as an adult. If they don't know they are donor conceived, they will spend their lives giving doctors an inaccurate genetic history. In the donor-conceived community, people often talk about medical gaslighting. This happens when an adult's symptoms don't match their official family history. A doctor might dismiss a symptom because it doesn't run in your family, when in reality, it might run in their donor's family. Without the truth, your child might miss early screening for things that are actually in their DNA. By withholding this, you are unintentionally creating a medical black hole for them that follows them into adulthood. Then there is the social reality of the popular donor factor and the role of the donor-sibling registry. When you chose your donor, you likely chose them because they were healthy, kind, or shared your values. If they were a popular choice at the clinic, it is highly likely other families chose them too. This means your child could have a very large group of genetic half-siblings out there, sometimes 10, 20, or even 50. The registry is a massive database where families can find each other based on their donor's ID number. Even if you choose privacy, other parents using the same donor may be actively looking for your child. In a world where these siblings are often living in the same geographic area, we have to face the statistical risk of accidental encounters. Without knowing their origins, there is a possibility that your young adult could unknowingly enter a romantic relationship with a genetic half-sibling. I have researched this, and while it feels like a movie plot, it is a primary reason why many donor-conceived adults advocate for transparency. Teenagers are already hardwired to look for reasons to challenge their parents. Their job is to push boundaries and question authority as they build their own identity. If your teenager finds out on their own through a DNA kit, the trauma usually isn't about the egg. The trauma is about the realization that their parents were able to keep a secret for 20 years. It turns a biological fact into a trust crisis. Challenging the privacy path means asking, am I protecting my child's peace today, or am I creating a much bigger burden for the adult they will become? The second perspective is the path of waiting, planning to tell your child when they are old enough, perhaps at 18. The belief here is that the teenager needs a solid sense of self before they can handle biological complexity. The hope is that by waiting, you protect your child from being confused when they are small. But when I looked at the experiences of adults who were told late, many described sensing a ghost in the room as children. Toddlers and school-age children are incredibly sensitive to the things that are not being said in their own homes. Waiting can sometimes turn a simple biological fact into a big reveal that carries a heavy emotional weight for a young adult. If you've chosen the path of waiting, your teenager could be contacted by a biological sibling before you have even shared the truth. The third perspective is honesty from birth, integrating the story from day one so your child never remembers finding out. The belief here is that if the truth is part of the air they breathe, it can't be used to hurt or surprise them later. The benefit is the preservation of absolute transparency. Your child grows up knowing you are a safe person who isn't afraid of their whole truth. It's not a big talk when they are 5. It's a series of small, loving moments that start when they are toddlers. At age 3, these moments look like reading a personalized storybook together before bed. It looks like using simple, neutral words like helper while you're snuggled on the couch. You're just telling them that mommy had the tummy and the love, but we needed a tiny egg from a helper to start their life. Because it starts so early, your toddler never has to process a reveal. By age 7, it looks like acknowledging that they have a unique blueprint from a donor and that their curiosity about it is healthy and okay. By the time they are a teenager, the goal is for you to be an open book who holds the information they might need. But let's be real. The difficulty of this path is the vulnerability it requires from you as the parent. It means facing your own fears of being different and being ready for your child's natural curiosity. It requires a steady heart to answer questions like, what did she look like when it's time, without feeling like your role is being threatened? Each of these paths is a choice made out of a desire to protect your child. Can't wait for weekly drops? Every deep dive and the full hurdle ebook is ready now in the vault at donoreggdiary.com. Get the answers without the wait. Back to it. And as you sit with these 3 options, it can be helpful to just take a breath and try on a different perspective for a moment. For me, it helped to think about what kind of adult I wanted to raise. I wanted a confident, loving, stable person who can love others and trust others easily. I know, for me, I would have been devastated to not have the truth from my parents from the start. I just know that in my heart. There are no easy answers here. And it's important to remember that privacy and secrecy don't have to be the same thing. Privacy is often a healthy boundary that keeps your child's story in a safe family circle. Secrecy is a bit different. It's when that circle is drawn so small that your child isn't even allowed inside their own truth. Deciding where that line is for your family is a heavy task, and you don't have to have it all figured out today. You are making these choices out of a deep love for your child, and that is the best place to start. But remember that your child will eventually turn into an adult who is a unique person with thoughts, emotions, and needs of their own. Some in the donor-conceived community wonder if it is even fair for someone to deny a complete person such a fundamental right as to their own origins. It is a lot to process, and it's okay to sit with it for as long as you need. You are just trying to find a way to handle this that feels right for the life you are building together.